Sarah clutched the steering wheel, her knuckles white. The old car sputtered and coughed, each noise a little stab of anxiety. Rain lashed against the windshield, blurring the already unfamiliar road. She'd been driving for days, trying to put as much distance as possible between herself and everything. Her heart ached with a sadness so deep it felt like a physical weight. She just needed to find somewhere, anywhere, to catch her breath and figure out what to do next. The gas gauge blinked red, mocking her dwindling options. Lost, alone, and with nowhere to go, tears welled in her eyes. She was running on fumes, both in the car and in her spirit. Maybe, just maybe, she'd find a sign, a glimmer of hope in this endless, rainy night. Miles away, Jake whistled a tuneless melody as he checked the fence line. The ranch was his whole world, passed down from his father, and his father before him. He loved the wide open spaces, the smell of hay, and the quiet rhythm of ranch life. But sometimes, especially on nights like tonight when the wind howled and the rain beat down, he felt a pang of loneliness. He had good friends, sure, and a close-knit community. But he longed for something more, someone to share the sunsets with, someone to laugh with over a cup of coffee in the morning. He pushed the thought away, focusing on the task at hand. He was a rancher, not a romantic. Still, a flicker of hope remained, a silent wish whispered on the wind. With a final shudder and a pathetic sigh, Sarah's car gave up. It coughed one last time and died right there on the side of the deserted road. The rain continued to pour, and darkness had completely enveloped her. She tried the ignition again and again, but nothing happened. Panic started to set in. She was truly stranded. Cell service was non-existent. The closest town was miles away. She slumped back in the seat, defeated. Her shoulders began to shake with sobs. "This can't be happening," she whispered to herself, the sound swallowed by the storm. A flash of lightning illuminated the sign she hadn't noticed before, Blackwood Ranch, next right. It was barely visible, but in her despair, it felt like a lifeline. Ko, finally finished with his fence repairs, was heading back to the ranch house when he saw headlights flickering weakly in the distance. He frowned. Nobody ever used this back road, especially not on a night like this. Curiosity piqued, he steered his truck towards the light. As he got closer, he saw the small, beat-up car pulled over on the shoulder. He pulled up behind it, his headlights illuminating the vehicle and the figure huddled inside. A young woman. He cut the engine and grabbed his rain slicker, a knot of concern tightening in his stomach. He couldn't just leave her there. Something about the way she sat, slumped and defeated, tugged at his heart. He hoped she was all right. Ko approached the car cautiously, the rain plastering his hair to his forehead. He tapped lightly on the window. Sarah startled, her head snapping up. Her eyes were wide and filled with fear. He gave her a reassuring smile. "Ma'am, are you all right? You seem to be stuck." His voice was calm and gentle. Sarah cracked the window open a sliver. "My car. It won't start," she said, her voice trembling. "Looks like you picked a bad night for it. I'm Ko Blackwood. My ranch is just up the road. Why don't you come back to the house, get out of this rain? We can figure something out in the morning." He kept his tone even, hoping to ease her obvious anxiety. He could see she was hesitant, but the storm was getting worse. He just wanted to help. Sarah hesitated. Could she trust him? Everything inside her screamed caution. But the relentless rain, the darkness, and the sheer exhaustion warred with her fear. She looked at Ko's face, searching for any sign of deception. His eyes seemed kind, his expression genuinely concerned. I don't want to be any trouble," she stammered. Ko smiled gently. "No trouble at all. Come on. Let's get you warmed up." Reluctantly, Sarah opened the car door and stepped out into the downpour. The wind whipped at her clothes, chilling her to the bone. Ko took her arm, guiding her towards his truck. She didn't resist, too tired to argue. A small spark of gratitude flickered within her. Maybe, just maybe, she'd found a safe harbor, at least for the night. The next morning, the storm had passed, leaving a clear blue sky. Ko had arranged for a mechanic to look at Sarah's car. He offered her a room in the guest house, giving her space but also letting her know he was there if she needed anything. Over the next few days, Ko noticed the subtle signs of Sarah's inner turmoil. The way she flinched at loud noises, the haunted look in her eyes, the way she always seemed to be watching, waiting. He never pried, but he made sure she had warm meals, clean clothes, and a comfortable place to rest. He'd leave a book on her doorstep or offer a quiet smile across the breakfast table. He wanted her to feel safe, to know she wasn't alone. He sensed she needed kindness, not questions. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Sarah spoke. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Thank you," she said, not meeting Ko's eyes. "For everything." Ko simply nodded. "You're welcome, Sarah." A long silence followed, broken only by the chirping of crickets. Then, hesitantly, she began to talk. Not about everything, not yet. But about pieces. About a broken promise, a betrayal, a loss that had shattered her world. She didn't go into detail, but Cook could hear the pain in her voice, the weight of her unspoken story. It was like a dam slowly cracking, releasing tiny trickles of the sorrow she'd been holding inside for so long. Ko listened, his heart heavy with Sarah's pain. He wanted to reach out, to offer comfort, but he knew she wasn't ready for that yet. He simply nodded, offering silent understanding. He kept his gaze soft, his expression open and non-judgmental. He knew pushing her would only make her retreat further into herself. She needed to feel safe, to feel in control. So he just listened, patiently, letting her share what she was ready to share. He filed away the pieces, the fragments of her story, knowing that in time, she might trust him enough to reveal the whole picture. He felt drawn to her, wanting to protect her from whatever darkness haunted her past. Ko decided to show Sarah the ranch, hoping the beauty of the land and the gentleness of the animals would soothe her troubled spirit. He started with the horses, their soft noses nudging her hand as she offered them carrots. He showed her the sprawling fields of wildflowers, buzzing with bees. He took her to the creek, where she watched the water gurgle over smooth stones. He pointed out the soaring hawks, the playful squirrels, the deer grazing in the distance. He explained the rhythm of ranch life, the constant cycle of planting, growing, and harvesting. He hoped that by immersing her in the natural world, she could find some peace, some respite from the pain she carried. He wanted her to see the beauty that still existed in the world. It was a scrawny, neglected foal that truly captured Sarah's attention. It had been born weak, and its mother seemed to have rejected it. The ranch hands were doing their best, but the little creature was still listless and withdrawn. Sarah felt an immediate connection. She, too, knew what it was like to feel unwanted and alone. She started spending hours with the foal, gently stroking its soft coat, talking to it in a soothing voice. She helped with its feeding, making sure it got the nourishment it needed. Slowly, the foal began to respond, its eyes brightening, its steps becoming more confident. And as she cared for the foal, Sarah began to heal as well. The act of nurturing another being, of giving and receiving love, chipped away at the wall she had built around her heart. A little bit of light began to seep in. The old photograph fluttered from the pages of the worn book she held. A young Sarah, beaming, stood next to a woman with kind eyes and a warm smile, her mother. The image dissolved into a memory. Flashback a hospital room, sterile and cold. The beeping of machines, the hushed whispers of doctors. Sarah, barely a teenager, holding her mother's hand, her mother's grip growing weaker. "I'll always be with you, sweetheart," her mother whispered, her voice raspy. Then, silence. The machines flatlined. Sarah's world shattered. Her father, unable to cope with the loss, retreated into himself, leaving Sarah to navigate her grief alone. The promise of always broken by the cruel reality of death. The betrayal of being left behind. This was the core of her pain, the wound that refused to heal. Back in the present, Sarah found Ko sitting on the porch swing, watching the sunset. She took a deep breath and walked towards him, the photograph clutched in her hand. Ko, she said, her voice trembling slightly. Can I tell you something? Everything. He looked up, his eyes filled with warmth and understanding. Of course, Sarah. Whenever you're ready. And so, she began. She told him about her mother, about the hospital room, about the broken promise. She told him about her father's withdrawal, about the years of loneliness and grief. She told him about the weight she had carried, the burden that had driven her to run. She told him everything, finally unburdening herself of the pain she had held inside for so long. The words poured out, a torrent of emotions released into the open air. Ko listened without interrupting, his heart breaking with each word. When she finally finished, exhausted and emotionally drained, he took her hand. His touch was warm and reassuring. Sarah, he said softly, I can't imagine what you've been through. He paused, searching for the right words. You don't have to run anymore. You don't have to be alone. This ranch, it's not just a place to stay. It can be your home. A real home, if you want it to be. He looked into her eyes, his sincerity unwavering. You can stay here, Sarah. As long as you need to. As long as you want to. He wasn't just offering her shelter, he was offering her a future. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes, blurring Ko's already hazy image. I don't know what to say, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. She couldn't believe it. After all the pain, after all the loneliness, someone was offering her a home, a place to belong. It felt too good to be true. I don't deserve this, she said, shaking her head. I don't deserve your kindness. Years of believing she was somehow unworthy, somehow broken, made it impossible for her to fully accept such a generous offer. She had always been the one left behind, the one who didn't belong. Could she really let go of that belief? Could she truly allow herself to be happy? She struggled to reconcile his offer with her deeply ingrained sense of unworthiness. Ko gently cupped her face in his hands, his eyes filled with sincerity. Don't say that, Sarah, he said, his voice firm but kind. I see your strength. I see how you've survived, how you've kept going despite everything that's happened to you. He continued, you deserve happiness, Sarah. You deserve a fresh start. Everyone does. And I truly believe you can find it here, on this ranch. You've already brought so much life back to this place, especially to that little foal. You have a gift for caring, Sarah, and you deserve to have that care returned. He wanted her to understand that she was worthy of love and belonging. He saw her potential and believed in her ability to heal. Sarah decided to stay. The first few weeks were a blur of new experiences and hesitant steps. She learned to ride a horse, her initial fear slowly giving way to exhilaration. She helped with the daily chores, feeding the chickens, mending fences, and learning the names of all the ranch hands. At first, she was shy and withdrawn, unsure of her place. But the ranch hands, a gruff but good-hearted bunch, welcomed her with open arms. They taught her the ropes, patiently explaining the intricacies of ranch life. Slowly, she began to feel like she belonged, like she was part of something bigger than herself. She started laughing again, a genuine, heartfelt sound that had been absent for far too long. She was learning a new way of life, and in doing so, she was rediscovering herself. The pickup truck roared up the driveway, kicking up dust and gravel. Sarah froze, a cold dread gripping her heart. She recognized the truck. It belonged to her father. He hadn't spoken to her in years, not since her mother died. Why was he here now? As he climbed out of the truck, his face grim and unreadable, Sarah's newfound peace shattered. Her past had found her, and all the old fears and anxieties came rushing back. The safe haven she had built at Blackwood Ranch was suddenly threatened. Her heart pounded in her chest. What did he want? Ku stepped forward, placing himself between Sarah and her father. His gaze was steady and protective. "Can I help you, sir?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Sarah's father ignored Ku, his eyes fixed on Sarah. "You're coming home," he said, his voice gruff. "It's time." Sarah shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "No, Dad. I'm not. This is my home now." Ku put a hand on Sarah's shoulder, offering her silent support. Then, he turned to her father, his expression hardening. "Sarah is staying here," he said firmly. "She's safe and happy here. And I won't let you take that away from her." He was drawing a line in the sand, defending Sarah and reaffirming his commitment to her well-being. In that moment, watching Ku stand up to her father, Sarah realized something profound. Blackwood Ranch wasn't just a safe haven, it was also a place where she was truly cared for. Ku wasn't just being kind, he was protecting her, fighting for her, showing her a love she had never known. The realization washed over her, bringing a wave of gratitude and a warmth that spread through her entire being. She had spent so long believing she was unlovable, unworthy of happiness. Now, standing beside Ku, feeling his strength and his unwavering support, she knew that wasn't true. She had found someone who saw her, truly saw her, and cared enough to fight for her. She wasn't alone anymore. After a tense standoff, Sarah's father finally relented, his shoulders slumping in defeat. He mumbled a reluctant apology to Sarah and drove away, leaving a cloud of dust in his wake. Ku turned to Sarah, his eyes filled with concern. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Sarah nodded, tears still streaming down her face, but this time, they were tears of relief and gratitude. She reached out and took Ku's hand, squeezing it tightly. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "For everything." Ku cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs gently wiping away her tears. "I care about you, Sarah," he said, his voice husky. "More than you know." He leaned in, his gaze searching hers, and gently kissed her. It was a sweet, tender kiss, filled with unspoken emotions and a promise of something more. It was the beginning of something real. Over the next few weeks, Sarah and Ku worked together to address the underlying issues with her father. They had several difficult but honest conversations with him, encouraging him to seek counseling and to address his own grief and loneliness. It wasn't easy, and there were setbacks along the way. But slowly, her father began to open up, to acknowledge his mistakes, and to start the long process of healing. Sarah realized that she couldn't change the past, but she could choose to forgive and to build a new relationship with her father, one based on honesty and understanding. With Ku's support, Sarah was able to establish healthy boundaries with her father, ensuring her own emotional well-being and paving the way for a more peaceful future. They resolved the issue. Years passed. The lost and haunted look in Sarah's eyes faded, replaced by a sparkle of joy and confidence. She thrived on the ranch, her natural talent for caring blossoming into a genuine passion for animal husbandry. She became an integral part of the Blackwood Ranch, managing the stables, overseeing the breeding program, and even starting a small rescue for neglected horses. She was no longer the frightened woman who had arrived on that stormy night. She was strong, capable, and loved. She had found her purpose, her place in the world. She was home. She was transformed. Ku watched Sarah, his heart swelling with pride and love. He had never seen her so happy, so confident. He knew he loved her from the moment he saw her huddled in her broken-down car, but now, watching her thrive, his love had deepened into something even more profound. One warm summer evening, as they sat on the porch swing, watching the sunset, Ku turned to Sarah. "Will you marry me?" he asked, his voice filled with emotion. Sarah's eyes widened, and tears of joy streamed down her face. "Yes," she whispered, throwing her arms around him. Yes, 1,000 times yes. They were partners in life, in love, and in running the ranch. They were building a future together, a future filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. They were solidifying their relationship. Sarah often visited the now-grown horse, a magnificent creature named Hope. Hope was strong and graceful, a testament to Sarah's love and care. Looking at Hope, Sarah saw a reflection of her own journey. The foal had been neglected and weak, just as she had been broken and lost. But with love and care, both had healed and thrived. Hope symbolized Sarah's own transformation, her own strength, and her own ability to overcome adversity. The horse was a living reminder that even from the darkest beginnings, beauty and strength can emerge. The foal is now a symbol. Ku and Sarah stood hand in hand, watching the sunset paint the sky in vibrant hues of orange and purple. Hope grazed peacefully in the nearby pasture, a symbol of their shared journey. They had both found what they were missing. Ku had found companionship, a partner to share his life and his ranch. Sarah had found a home, a purpose, and a love that had healed her broken heart. They looked at each other, their eyes filled with love and gratitude. The future stretched before them, bright and full of promise. They were ready to face whatever challenges life might bring, together, on the ranch that had brought them together. They were happy and content. It was the end.